Leif Ove, thank you for joining and great to talk with you. We're looking very much forward to a project next season in 21-22. You will come to Musikverein together with the Mahler Chamber Orchestra for 3 concerts, also joined by Christiane Karg, focusing on works by Mozart and especially on works from the years 1785 and 86. So why Mozart and why those 2 years?
Well, we have this project now called Mozart Momentum, 1785-86. And it especially refers to the genre of piano concertos. It was a tremendous time for him in Vienna. Already the year before, he had written 6 piano concertos. And then with the D minor, number 20, in the beginning of 1785, there is a shift. There's something new happening. It's not only that it's the first one he writes in a minor key, but he does some really revolutionary things. Like when the soloist enters for the first time, it's with completely different music from the orchestra. So the orchestra is very dramatic and music full of tension. And the soloist comes in with a voice from far. And this was really a revolution. It must have been shocking to the audience to experience this. And it's like Mozart, you see that Mozart feels that he has found a really new path here. It expands the storytelling, the psychological drama of the whole piano concerto becomes much more complex and like mini operas. These last piano concertos, and the wind players get much more individuality in solos and longer passages with only the winds alone that I'm just sitting there listening to. I mean, it's just really so much about dialogue and communication between the different groups of the orchestra and the soloists. So we have these 5 piano concertos from these 2 years, and also play other music from the years. These 2 years, we are recording them, and we're doing many concerts.
Mentioning the Mahler Chamber Orchestra, this is not your first collaboration. In the contrary, you already did a big project together, the Beethoven Journey, many years ago. What's special about the Mahler Chamber Orchestra?
It's such a group full of great personalities, but with a feeling of unity more than any other group I've played with, and in the feeling that everybody aspired to making every project something special, something personal. It's quite a challenging life to be a member of this chamber orchestra, because they don't have a geographical home. They have their administration in Berlin, but the members live all over, and they come together, maybe in Italy, maybe in Germany, maybe in Austria for different projects. And it's a lot of touring in normal times, obviously not the last year. But so it's really a commitment to be part of this group. It's a lifestyle. You choose a lifestyle, and you choose really to do this not because it's a safe job, but because you can experience something very special artistically. And that's the reward. And I feel it with them every project. They can find characters, colors, changes, sudden changes in the emotional diversity of the music more than any other ensemble I've played with.
Speaking about commitment, it is quite rare that an artist like you devotes so much time to one project over such a long period, years. And you already did it with Beethoven, now it's with Mozart Momentum. How much of your artistic time do you devote to that project? How central, how key is that for your artistic life, and why is it important?
Well, I discovered with my Beethoven journey, as we called the project between 2012 and 15, that it actually, after so many years of playing just different things, everything from Bach to contemporary music, it was so wonderful actually to devote 3 years basically to play one composer, because no doubt about the fact that the more you get into one vocabulary of one composer, one time, the better you master it, and the more you feel free and confident in that language. So that was an important period for me, and I'm not doing it to such an extreme extent here with the Mozart momentum, but there will be a lot of Mozart the next 2-3 years, and also some other things. But I find it really wonderful also to do these pieces together that are composed within these 2 years, to take one pocket in time and to use the lens and look at what happened in Vienna with Mozart just this period, because it's a long time ago, and it's sometimes difficult to really get close to the composer in this way, and then to see, for instance, how different these piano concertos are, how he was really looking for completely different sounds in the D minor concerto going to the C major concerto written 1 month later, completely different worlds.
You mentioned the D minor concerto K466. We have the autograph in our music collection. Our music collection is one of the biggest music collections in the world, with like 800 period instruments and autographs from many composers. The D minor piano concerto of Mozart is certainly one of the most beautiful ones. Did you ever see it, or a facsimile? Did you get to the autograph to get something out of reading it and dealing with it?
Just with the D minor, I haven't, and I'm would be very curious to see it. What I have from you in Musikverein is that I got some copies of your cadenzas for the piano concertos from this time, which are anonymous. We don't know who composed them, but they are really from the 1790s. And at the moment, I'm playing the one in the first movement of the C minor concerto, number 24. And it's interesting. And we do, I'm very curious, of course, who actually wrote it. But just to know that it's from this time and to see the style of how they composed. It's not as long and maybe ambitious as one did with the cadenzas written in the 19th century later on. But so it gives a very clear picture of the kind of improvisation which was going on at the time. Which, improvisation was so much part of the performance at that time. I would just love to have been a fly on the wall to see Mozart, to experience Mozart improvising, of course.
Well, look, this is what Nicolas Harnoncourt sometimes said. I would love to have been a fly in that time, because everything interpreting this repertoire today is just trying to get the best approach. It's not reinventing or trying to reinvent the historic situation, but to get close to what it could have been. So being a fly and listen could be a good thing, obviously, to understand it better. Talking about interpretation and period instruments, which instrument do you choose for playing Mozart, and which instruments do the musicians play in the Mahler Chamber Orchestra?
Well, we play modern instruments. We in the orchestra, though, they are using natural trumpets and timpani from this time, a Vienna timpani, which I think makes a lot of sense, because that creates a kind of clear color and not so broad. I mean, you could say, of course, say the same about the piano, but the modern piano is really my instrument, and a Mozart piano is a very different animal. It's much smaller, much slimmer in tone.
So you did try it? Of course you did try it, yes.
Of course, I've played, not many times in concert, but, many times tried. And it's very important to know what Mozart instrument was like and why he wrote, how he wrote, and to adapt some of that into the modern piano. But at the same time, using the advantages we have for dynamic and expression in the modern piano. And I believe in this kind of hybrid solution. I think it's extremely interesting and necessary what happened the last 50 years with performance practice in this music. I mean, now it seems so flat and old-fashioned to listen to recordings often of Mozart from the 30s or 40s. So it doesn't really speak to us, because the rhetoric has become so much more richer with people like Harnoncourt. I had the pleasure to play with. Perform it twice, and who showed us so much of this. But I believe it's absolutely possible and wonderful to adapt a lot of that to modern instruments.
you're speaking about the complexity to refer to that type of tradition. Let me say one question one cannot articulate in that way, but anyway, for the fun of it, if Mozart would have had the choice to use a modern Steinway or a fortepiano from his time, which one would he have chosen, you think?
I mean, then my question back to you would be, are we talking today or are we talking in the 70s, 80s? Because probably if he had gotten a Steinway D model, 9 feet at his home, delivered in 1785 in Vienna, he would be totally shocked and he would think it's a monster and you could not make music on it. But if you think our society, with the kind of, just think about the pollution of noise that we have in our society with cars and the traffic and the amount of people and the city life and everything. But in general, we have adapted ourselves to a completely different society, of course. And if Mozart was living, in Vienna today, I'm sure he would see some opportunities in the modern piano that he didn't see in his Hammerklavier. But that's just
yeah, it's just an experiment in thoughts and trying to understand what possibilities we have today in choosing instrument and approaching this type of repertoire. Look, we're looking very much forward to that project next season. Let me just ask you one last question. Looking back to the last months, the corona pandemic has cost so many lives all over the world, and it has deeply affected and damaged so many parts of our lives in all parts of society, including the classical music industry. With that experience we all shared, do you see new developments emerging in the world of classical music in the post-COVID era? Do you see new initiatives, different way of thinking about the future, or even about your personal artistic work in the future?
Well, obviously, it's been a kind of, a great development in how to present things digitally within this year, and we have all looked at what possibilities do we have to communicate the music, and I think many good things have come out of that. We need to talk about the music. We need to be there, meeting our audience in all channels possible, and I think that. We're all at the moment a little bit tired of streaming and all that, but I think it has come there to continue existing parallel to live concerts. Of course, looking so much forward to come back to really playing more for people. And personally, what I've gotten out of this year is to be grateful for every opportunity I have to meet colleagues, musicians on stage, and to be in a wonderful acoustic hall on a well-prepared piano. These kind of things that I took for granted a couple of years ago, feels like a gift every time now. And I hope not to lose that gratefulness about my profession and how lucky I am to be able to do what I do.
Thank you so much for this conversation, and looking very much forward to meeting you live in person here on stage at Musikverein. Stay healthy, all the best, and thank you very much.
Thanks, you too.